Did you get some unwanted health news and have come to explore plant-based eating as a result? Maybe it's high cholesterol, diabetes, or a recent scare from a sudden heart attack followed by an unexpected hospital stay. You've heard about how a plant-based diet can help, so you're plant-based curious and ready to learn. But this way of eating seems so different from the meat and potatoes diet you've been used to. Maybe you're wondering, what does it even look like to eat this way? And is it even possible to move away from a meat-heavy diet to eating plants and enjoy it? This is a big lifestyle change, so it's natural to feel and think this way. That's why in this episode, I want to help demystify plant-based eating and answer those questions. We'll look at 3 key changes you can expect when you begin plant-based eating, and spoiler alert, these are good things. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi friend, do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. Changing to a different way of eating from what you've been used to can seem hard and scary. I remember how unsure and uncertain I was when I first started our family's transition many years ago. Having been brought up on a regular meat-based diet, it seemed like such a big lifestyle change. But now, having come out on the other side, I see the mistakes I've made and how much simpler and straightforward it could have been. That's why I created the PlantNourished Transition Success Method, a simpler, easier pathway for making a smooth transition to plant-based eating and one that builds a strong foundation for thriving health. I've incorporated this transition success method inside my online plant-powered life transformation course and into the coaching work that I do with my private clients. So if you're facing health challenges and a busy schedule, but still want to move towards better health through plant-based eating, let's work together. I'll give you the guidance, support, recipes, and strategies you need to make moving to plant-based eating simple, doable, and stress-free. Send me an email at healthnow@plantnourished.com or apply for a free rapid health transformation call with me using the link in the episode show notes. I want to support you on your journey to optimal health and wellness. Now let's dig into today's topic. Sometimes, if you don't know what to expect or what's ahead, it can be harder to make a change or to even take that first step forward. It's natural to feel this way and have the fear of the unknown. I've experienced this before, and you may have too. In fact, I just caught up with a friend who told me about her recent experience going to Korea to bring her newly adopted child back. Unfortunately, she tested positive for COVID after landing, so had to be quarantined with her oldest son for 2 weeks. The whole quarantine process set out by Korean health authorities was confusing and unclear. At one point, she and her son were bundled into a van and then driven 2 hours away to an unknown location. She didn't know where they were going and felt so anxious, stressed, and scared. I would too if I was in her situation. But then they arrived at the destination, and it turned out completely different from what she had expected. The Korean authorities had given her one of the best places available for quarantine in their country. It was a resort that had been turned into a quarantine center. What a relief! Now, in that scenario, wouldn't it have made all the difference if my friend was told clearly up front where she was being taken to and what to expect at the quarantine center? I'm sure that would have reduced or eliminated much of her fear and worry then. When she shared this story with me, I immediately saw its similarity to the plant-based transition experience. Being used to our current lifestyle and familiar foods, it can seem that much more daunting to make a change, especially if we don't know what to expect on the other side. That's why, If you're thinking of starting plant-based eating or have just begun, I want to tell you today what eating plant-based is like. By doing so, I hope it'll help remove some of those worries and uncertainties you may have around eating a plant-based diet. So today, let's look at 3 of the key changes you can expect when you begin plant-based eating. Number 1, expect gut changes. When you begin plant-based eating, your body will be adapting in many ways. Not only will your attitude and mindset about eating plants change, the microbiome in your gut is also changing, but in a good way. That's because a meat-heavy diet feeds certain bacteria in the gut that aren't health-promoting, while eating whole plant-based foods like vegetables, whole grains, fruits, and beans will promote the growth of good gut bugs in the intestines and colon. But there can be an adaptation period, especially if you've been previously used to a diet with lots of commercially processed foods, meat-heavy mains, and little if any vegetables or beans. Some of the potential gut symptoms you could experience are gas, bloating, cramping, or diarrhea, but not everyone experiences them. There are many factors at play here, not just your previous way of eating, but also how quickly you make the transition and what you're eating during the first few weeks of starting a plant-based diet. Here's the good news. Not everyone experiences gastrointestinal or GI discomfort during the transition, and if you're smart about how you make this lifestyle change and use the right transition strategies, you'll likely have minimal, if any, gut transition issues. In fact, none of my clients complained of much gas or bloating discomfort in the initial phase. But even if you do, know this. The gut discomfort phase is often short-lived because your gut will gradually adapt to the more nourishing, high-fiber, whole plant-based foods you're feeding it. There are also transition strategies that can be used to resolve the gut transition challenges faster. I want you to think of your GI system as a muscle that needs training. Over time, your gut will adjust and get better at digesting the foods you eat. Then, as it adapts to a high-fiber, whole-food plant-based diet, the rest of your body also benefits in areas such as brain health, increasing metabolism, lowering risk of cancers like colon cancer, and reducing inflammation. Now here's another bonus. If you've always battled constipation, moving to a plant-based diet will likely solve that problem. That's because you'll start to have more frequent bowel movements. That's good and actually healthy. This is one thing my clients are most happy about. Now on to the second key expectation to have. Expect different meals. Here, I'm not just referring to the fact that the foods on your plate will be different with plant-based foods instead of animal-based protein products. That's obvious. What will also change may be the type, look, and kinds of meals you have. So, instead of a usual drab and dull meat and potato style dinner, you can expect a lot more color and variety on your plate, as well as more flexibility and variety in your meals. For example, besides a traditional meal combination of an entree and a cooked grain, an equally filling dinner may be a satisfying salad, a burrito, or a plant-based burger. So you can expect to eat outside the box a little bit when you begin plant-based eating. Number 3, expect larger portions most of the time. Plant-based meals made with minimal oil or no oil tend to be lower in calories and higher in fiber. This means you can generally eat bigger portions in a plant-based meal, especially if it is composed mainly of vegetables, whole grains, fruits, and legumes like beans, lentils, and chickpeas. So in plant-based eating, you do not need to calorie count every single bite that you eat or overly restrict portion sizes, as long as you are focusing on the right plant-based foods. That's good news. Many people are pleasantly surprised to know this, and this is one of the reasons why hunger shouldn't be an issue on a plant-based diet. If you're constantly hungry in your transition, it means the kinds and types of plant-based foods, as well as portions eaten, are not optimized in your meals. This is why one of the core fundamentals I teach my clients and students is how to build truly satisfying plant-powered plates using the right recommended key components and portion sizes from my PlantNourished Power Plate model. So today, we looked at 3 areas of change that will likely occur when you begin plant-based eating. You can expect gut changes, different meals, and also larger portions most of the time when eating plant-based. Now, in the Plant Powered Life Transformation course, I have a whole lesson devoted to this topic because it's crucial to know what to expect in the transition so you can be more confident starting your plant-based diet journey and are not surprised if certain transition challenges crop up. That's why in the course, I go over 7 key transitional success expectations to have. But in today's episode, I wanted to dive into 3 of those top transition expectations for you. As you can see, many of the changes to expect are actually positive ones, like a stronger and healthier gut microbiome that would benefit other areas of your body and lower the risk of colon cancer, which is the second most common kind of cancer death in the US. It can also give you more flexibility in how you build your meals and more freedom to eat a greater variety of foods without needing detailed calorie counting. I want to end with this. The plant-based world can be vast, overwhelming, and unfamiliar, but you don't need to go at it alone. If you want support on your health journey and clear guidance to better your health, I want to come alongside you and help. Reach out to me by email at healthnow@plantnourished.com or apply for a free rapid health transformation call using the link in the show notes so we can connect. Let's work together to build a practical, realistic, and doable plan that's best for you. I can also support you by providing the structure and accountability you need to move consistently towards your goals so you can reach them with ease. Don't let your current health conditions get you down. Change is possible as long as you're willing to take the first step. And there is a much easier way to make your move to plant-based eating fun, enjoyable, and stress-free. I want to show you how. Thank you so much for listening. If this podcast has inspired, encouraged, or helped you in some way to transform your health, I would love to hear about it. Please take 30 seconds to rate and leave a written review on Apple Podcasts to let me know. It will encourage me so much to hear how this podcast has positively impacted and made a difference in your journey towards wellness. And share about this podcast with a friend or loved one so we can all thrive in the best health. Remember, plant-based eating can be easy and doable. See you in the next episode, my friend.